Sorry about that, guys. Welcome back, Bandit. Yeah, sorry. Tripod's a little unsteady here. Blub, 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 blub.
Oh, okay. I'm just messing with Vector. I mean, you said deck, best pizza.
So then, I think I've got a pretty good idea. And this kind of confirms what I thought I was seeing to begin with the. So I was just testing VIP Affliction, which is the purple and orange ball, against the. Let me flip this around. Against the. Against my Ghost, which is pin up, and my Crux Prime, which is pin in middle. Colin, I'll loop back and explain a little more about the Fatal later on in the stream, or in a minute. So this is honestly about what I was expecting. Is the Crux Prime with Surface is the earliest and definitely the smoothest of the three. You can see that as soon as I tried to chase my Crux left at all, it was 2-8ing a lot, which is kind of what I expected to happen. The Affliction and the Ghost are very, very similar in terms of total board coverage in most situations. It's just kind of a question of how they get there. The Affliction, as you can see, is much, much smoother. Definitely not as quick and forward, if that makes sense. It's just super, super blendy, which is about what I expected, but it's not as blendy as the Crux Prime, which is also about what I expected. And then the Affliction and the Ghost, I kind of set up to relate about like how they do. Where the Affliction is a little smoother, the Ghost is a little quicker, a little more forward, a little sharper. And really, if I need a ball that'll create traction, then one of those will be going through the pins in most cases, and that's kind of how I set those up. So that's pretty much functioning as expected, honestly. They stack very well together. They both hook early and blend, but still hook quite a bit with the Ghost and the Affliction. So the only real vulnerability I feel with these is having that ball this early but smooth and not as much directional change, but that's just kind of another step past the Affliction on the other side of the Ghost. and that's where the Crux Prime kind of comes into play. So if I'm going to tournaments or I'm going to situations where I might need that extra bit of directional change control, I think this is a case where having the mix bag is going to help me, because spec is just so slow on friction that it won't hook a lot, pretty much never, which is honestly kind of a cool thing, especially for someone like me with a little more rev rate. So, Slim Shim back at it. Great successful new venture. Appreciate it, Keith. Yeah, feeling pretty good. I've been throwing it pretty well, honestly. Yes, the Ghost looks incredible. Really, really impressed with that ball. So as far as the Fatal layout, Delvin, actually here, I'll just go over here and actually show you layouts on a couple balls for a second. Flip this around. So this is the Shock and the Fatal. Same layout on both of them. I drilled the Shock pin down. The first two balls that I drilled were the Shock pin down and the Ghost pin up. The theory there was that the Ghost I was setting up to be a very, very rolly ball, or like an early strong rolly ball, and so I kind of copy pasted that idea, or I used that idea there. Then I wanted the Shock to be just like super blendy and continuous down lane without a monster directional change, and so it felt like a little bit stronger of a pin, but pin down made a lot of sense in that case. And then I needed something, once I had those two, I needed a ball that was not as early as the Shock, but kind of retained that same idea of blend and tumble and not a monster directional change off of friction. And so then that's why I got the Fatal and ended up actually copy pasting my layout from the Shock, was for that reason, to give me that extra bit of length and kind of control down lane. Favorite ball of the new stuff is probably, it's got to be the Shock. It works on, I get to it on almost any pattern I've bowled on so far at some point, whether it is fresh and using it to blend the lane a little more, but even with that blend and the ability to play right on fresher conditions, I've been able to run the 8-pin over on burn or on transition on house shot with it, which is honestly kind of an absurd range of use. Like even from left to fifth arrow, it's still running the 8-pin over, which that's kind of ridiculous. So the Shock is the one that's been a lot of fun. The recoil for me is a ball that I'm still trying to figure out, and I've got a couple different tests I've got that ball involved with today for that reason. It's just kind of trying to figure it out a little more. It's just kind of, it's in an odd usage window. Shocked, yeah, well played, Trent. Not intentional. Yeah, the Affliction is one that I've been throwing a ton as well. It's the new Phase 2 type of ball for me almost, which is that's actually a pretty good segue. Is the next test I'm going to do is comparing my Affliction to the Phase 2 that I've got with me right now. So Affliction is 4.5-inch pin down, and the Phase 2 is 4 3/4 pin and middle finger. Might make you drill a Shock. I can't make you do anything, Colin. You're an adult and you can make your own choices. It is a fantastic ball though, and I've really been liking mine. So essentially, since I resigned from my contract, I actually haven't compared my Phase 2 to anything else in my bag yet. So this is going to be, you're actually going to see my first shot in about 2.5 weeks with a Phase 2 in my hand. So this is going to be interesting to kind of see how this pans out. And so I just kind of want to get an understanding of how my Phase 2 and Affliction stack up to each other. So this should be pretty interesting. I'm going to go back to bowling mode for a minute, and if you all have questions, fire away, and I will be back here in a minute. So it should be pretty easy to tell apart. The Affliction is the purple and orange ball. Phase 2 is the one that's definitely more muted colors, is blue and red. I should also add, in terms of baseline expectation, I think the Affliction, my perception to this point has been that the Affliction is a little earlier, a little slower, and a little rounder than the Phase 2, with overall not too dissimilar strength levels. Phase 2 versus shock benchmark pieces. Yeah, I'll add the shock in on the end of this test as well, just to kind of help y'all see that a little bit.
Almost like the keyboard bucket. Hey, well, that was almost like the keyboard bucket. Oh.
So that right there illustrates one facet of this pattern on Kegel Chromium, where I actually really like it for testing, is this really good at exposing cover stock strength gaps. So right there you can see I'm just kind of running out of ball for how far left I got, and it's just ball never really wanted to make the corner. Observations from just throwing the phase 2 right now is the usage window seems a little more usage window seems a little more Jackal Ghost than VIP Affliction. Phase 2 definitely feels quicker on friction than the Affliction does. Quicker on friction than the Affliction. That's a tongue twister. A little bit of that is probably the layout, but I think a lot of it feels like cover stock differences. Like the Affliction just feels like it's not as quick on friction from a cover stock perspective. Like it's not hooking up to the lane as drastically as the phase 2 is. But again, that's just kind of a baseline impression of what I'm seeing, but I'm not 100% sure. So let's. Now I've thrown the phase 2 a little bit. Went all the way from like 13 at the arrows to almost 25. 13, 14 at the arrows, a little further right. So let's pull the Affliction out, give that a test, and take it from there. That ball's pretty good. That ball's pretty good.
Which one was that?
That's the Affliction.
Oh. When are you getting your intel?
Do what?
When are you getting the intel?
It shipped out yesterday.
Okay.
Probably gonna take it to Battle Bowl with me.
Hey.
So even that one shot right there, I think the difference is pretty stark. That was back where I started with my phase 2. You can see the Affliction hooked a few feet sooner and also definitely blended a whole lot more down lane, which again kind of lines up with the phase 2 being a little more Jackal Ghost in its range of use. So let's throw a few more shots to the Affliction. Deja, I'll get to that in a minute. Alright, so that was a quick little range test of the Affliction. So I actually moved 3 left on every single shot that I just threw right there. And you can see I actually got all the way to 42, which is about 4 or 5 boards left of the phase 2 before I ran out of ball, where it just kind of started to quit on me a little bit. But even then, I could realistically probably catch it a little more, and it'd still make it around the corner just fine from there. This is pretty much lining up how I thought it would between these two. Is the shock or the Affliction is earlier and smoother, but you can see like I've got a tremendous range of use to be able to chase it left, and it still continues, and it doesn't really run out of ball, run out of core so much. Again, small piece of that is probably layout, but I think a lot of it's just the ball design. It's kind of matching up with how I like to use it a little bit more. So I'm gonna grab my shock now and throw that a little bit just to compare to these two. I'm expecting the shock to be a little bit more down, a little bit further down the lane, and a little bit more off of friction than even the phase 2 is, but still being very, very smooth. This should look a lot like just a baby Affliction in a whole lot of ways, which is how I've got this ball set up. So let's give this a go, see what happens. That was surprising. Did not think it hooked that much. Yeah, my shock is pretty responsive, which has kind of surprised me a little bit. Even with that pin down layout, it's still decently quick when you're on top of it like that. So you can see the shock is actually a little quicker on friction than the either the Affliction or the phase 2, at least from straighter. But then once I do get far enough left, it's got some kind of phase 2-ish traits where it tells you when you're in the right part of the lane, and if you're too much on top of friction, it's just going to be too responsive. And the move is never to try and fight it. You just got to trust the ball and chase it left. It's kind of how I found the usage window to be on the shock. Yeah, so I think and you can see that last shot, I even elbowed it a little bit too much. Kind of got around it more than I intended to, and it still made the corner just fine. That's kind of why I like that ball so much, is it hooks early enough that I never really feel like I'm in danger of missing a spot with it. Like, my misses long are extremely rare with the Venom Shock, but it still makes the corner, which is really, really cool. So throw a few more shots with this just to compare. So you can see I'm starting to run out of ball again. Off of that Boiler 7, I moved 2 left and tried to roll it more and just kind of got a little lazy down lane, which that's kind of what I expected because the shock, once I get left, is very much a weaker Affliction, both in cover strength. It's a shell down and a core down from the Affliction. So if my Affliction just feels like it's a little too big, but it's the right idea, then I can go to my shock, and one of those two will get the job done. So, let's grab my trusty notebook here. So, Affliction, Ghost Prime, that's done. Affliction versus Phase 2 versus Shock. I feel like that one is pretty well done and dusted. Pretty much what I expected out of both of those tests, honestly. Except for I didn't think the shock would be quite as quick as it was from right, but that might just... My Venom shock is a touch lane shined, so that might be part of it. I've already done shock versus Phase 2. I'm going to pull the ProMotion out now and throw that for a minute. So now we're getting into the weird blendy ball section. The ProMotion and the Venom recoil are kind of coming in a little more into play at this point. I just want to give these a look, especially now that I've chopped the lane up a little bit, and just kind of get a better understanding of the zones and usage windows for these and how they relate to everything else. So ProMotion is the solid blue one, recoil is the orange ball.
I was making mental.
Pull it out. Gotta stay middle. Gotta stay middle.
Yeah, I was making some mistakes. So.
All right, so sweat towel break. Oh shoot. PM is ProMotion. Yes, that is correct. All right, let's talk for a minute. Catch up on comments. Oh, I'm a little bit behind. Sorry about that. Josh, do you think you'll end up testing the Intel SE? Presume you're talking about the Intel Pearl SE. I am honestly not sure. I know I like that core. I've had an Intel and an Intel Pearl in the past. I actually just bought a Intel blank off of a guy on Facebook Thursday night, I think it was Thursday, a couple days ago. As far as the Intel Pearl SE, I believe it's the same cover as the original results, which that ball didn't particularly fit my eye. So I don't know how much of that with the OG results was the cover, how much of it was the core. So I'm taking a wait and see approach on the Intel Pearl. Let's see what other stuff. Am I gonna throw some 7 brand balls? Presume you're talking about Brunswick. Yes, I am planning on doing that. My first priority once I went to free agency was to build out a tournament ready arsenal with this new kind of more blendy idea of ball motion going on. And I felt like a combination of the existing Storm stuff I had plus kind of building out within Motive, because I started with a Ghost and a Shock. Felt like that made the most sense, so that's kind of the path I've taken. Got the original Intel on the way that I'm probably going to drill in the next, once it gets here. It's just a weaker core option for UBA Battle Bowl next month. I'm also probably going to try, haven't decided exactly which balls. I'm thinking probably, I feel like I have to try an Obsession Tour just because that ball looks so good for so many people. I think the Incognito Pearl is one that's really, really impressed me. Even when I was on staff, it looked like a pretty unique and pretty awesome piece. So that's one I'm probably going to end up giving a go as well. Let's see, what else? Didn't expect that hit. Sorry, I'm behind. I don't remember which hit that was. Am I going to give my promotion to Luke after this? Abso-freaking-lutely not. It's honestly throwing this stuff right now. I think the promotion actually might have to see its way back into my tournament bag, just because it feels similar to my shock in a lot of ways in terms of board coverage and the recoil too, to a certain extent, as you saw there. But at the same time, it's blendier and not as fast on friction as the shock is. So again, Luke said, make it boring. Yes, that is my plan. Recoil and ProMotion love boring. Yeah, very much so. I feel like I have a little bit of a better handle on the recoil usage window now. It's kind of similar to the ProMotion in a lot of ways, where it doesn't like directional change, which kind of puts it in the kind of shape offset from my shock type of position that I had perceived it to have. But the recoil is definitely more forward down lane and through the pins, but still feels kind of slow on friction. So got to kind of tinker with those a little bit more. Recoil is a weird one, but I mean, I did shoot 1102 with it for 4 in league, so I think it's one that I'm still kind of figuring out the usage windows, but when it works, it really, really works, and that's pretty impressive to say. So, ProMotion is love, ProMotion is life, no lies detected. PM is ProMotion, yes, that is correct, Bandit. Colin, Kyle actually, I think, is getting a bonus solid. He's able to get that for significantly cheaper than a ProMotion. The use cases are decently similar between them. So I think he's going with the bonus solid for that slot we had talked about for Kansas City. Need a promo blank. I know someone who has a lot, but I also know they're not for sale. So yeah, good luck. Cram, no, I am no longer on Storm staff. I resigned 2 weeks ago today. Just kind of needed to see some different shapes and ideas in my arsenal. So yeah, free agent Shimwrecker now. Testing out a bunch of stuff today. Got a Affliction, a Ghost, a Shock, a Venom Recoil, and a Fatal Venom all with me. Along with a bunch of Storm stuff. On the Storm side, I've got, let's see, Crux Prime, Phase 2, Idle Synergy, UFO Alert, Hustle Inc., and ProMotion. So, brought a lot of stuff out with me to test, and I'm just kind of stepping through my progressions. Appreciate it, Cram. Yeah, I mean, so far so good. It's definitely been a learning experience stepping out into other brands, but I think it's going to be a positive for me long term, honestly. Learned a lot, grew a lot being on Storm staff. I felt like I was asking some questions of my equipment that I couldn't get answers to, honestly. And I mean, it's literally no hard feelings towards Storm. It was an awesome opportunity, and I obviously struggle a lot with their stuff, but chance to throw some other stuff as well. So 3 ball totes. No, I brought 3 rollers plus a 2-ball tote. I've got 11 with me. Okay, so let me grab my trusty notebook. Give me a sec. All right, so that is Shock Phase 2, ProMotion, and Recoil, all kind of compared sideways next to each other. A lot of overlap there, but also some kind of distinct differences between them. It'll be really interesting to kind of go back and watch the footage later and see how they all stack up to each other. So, all right. So now I'm going to pull out my UFO Alert and my Idle Synergy and compare those. Probably next to the Shock, honestly, because those are my two kind of steps towards more responsive stuff while still not being super crazy on friction. Both balls are pin in the middle finger. Synergy is shiny-ish, and the Alert has like a 2,000 grit surface on it, give or take, from when I used it in Sport League a few weeks back. So let's get these dialed in, see what we can find with those, and I'll be back in a minute. So you can see from those few shots right there, flush with the alert, and then I move a couple left or further right and it overhooks. So I think lane 9 is starting to get a little bit cliffy. So I just got to keep that in mind. That is good though, because that means I'm getting into a place where the shiny stuff is going to be more usable. So these tests will actually be pretty helpful, I think. I don't know who hit that, but okay.
Hey, I think you'll like that intel. Goddamn it, cool.
Good miss. And I did it again. I'm so smart.
Good shot. That court here right there. Oh, and we'll like
Make the turn. Mix them up.
I'm actually really liking that as a, and you can see it's definitely going a little longer than like my shock was, for example, but, and it's a little more responsive to friction, but it's still honestly pretty smooth. I used it as a step down from used the alert as a step down from my Ghost a couple weeks back when I was subbing in Sport League on Kegel Route 66, which is a 45-foot decently high volume pattern, and it stacked really well with that. So this is just kind of reaffirming what I saw from that. missed a couple feet long and got away with it. But that's just, again, remember the pattern I'm testing on. It really exposes cover strength and not using enough shell. So that kind of makes sense that it's missing a little long from that far left. But I'm on the phone, but I've seen that smirk. Yeah, I got away with one. Alright, so now I'm going to test the synergy compared to it. What do we got? That is a lot weaker. I know the surfaces are a little off, but wow, I didn't think it was that much. Yeah, definitely a whole lot, a couple feet longer, which I think is surface. More than anything, I've seen these as pretty similar lengthwise from day one, but you can see the synergy is much more rounder and steeper through the pin, so Alert definitely kind of picks up and rolls a little bit more. Alright, so that's a couple where I just moved 3 or 4 left on that shot. The last two I've kind of trapped right at the 3 pin, a little more than I intended to. So I'm going to try and throw one more away from me, try and get it to 5, and probably move 1 or 2 left while doing so. I'm expecting this to either strike or leave a back row single pin of some sort, like a blower 7, stuff 9, or wrap 10, something like that. I think this is going to be too sharp down lane. Or just never see it at all. That works too. That type of reaction on this pattern, that's what that means, is that it's just the cover's going too far down the lane, which kind of highlights what I expected to see out of this ball, honestly. I'm gonna grab a sanding pad and just touch the surface a little bit, and let's see if that hypothesis is in fact correct. So I just hit this with a 2000 grit True Cut pad lightly by hand. Just kind of trying to crack the polish, make it a little more traction-y. Might have been a little too much on surface. So you can see that just picked up and went pretty much instantly as soon as it got to the friction. Actually hooked more than I thought it would as well, which is kind of interesting to see. So that was, I think that was from the same spot where I just two-pinned, actually. And especially with the 2000 pad, and all of a sudden I'm almost going face. So let's chase a little further left and see what we got. All right, we're not going to talk about that shot. No, actually, I'm going to shoot this. Let's see if I can make a 710. Good luck today. Let's also please not talk about that shot. I'm getting a little tired. These are some very not great shots. Sealants, a whole lot of stuff. I'm testing some of the new Motive stuff I've drilled versus a lot of the Storm stuff I've been using. So I have with me Jackal Ghost, VIP Affliction, Venom Shock. I'm going out of order. Let's just go out front to bottom on the rack. Idle Synergy, UFO Alert, Venom Recoil, Pro Motion, Venom Shock, Jackal Ghost, VIP Affliction, Crux Prime, Phase 2, Hustle Inc., Fatal Venom. So, coffee's on me if you pick that up. Yeah, sorry, I tried. Remember the recoil and Pro Motion for these situations. Yeah, I know, Luke. I don't disagree there, and the Pro Motion's already looked really good from in here. This is more kind of testing the usage windows of shiny stuff versus each other. I know it's not 100% ideal, but I'm just trying to kind of make sure I understand how these relate to each other. So, I want to throw a couple shots with the shock from in here, actually, because I know the Pro Motion works, but haven't thrown the shock in a bit, so let's give that a try. Testing, yes, I have a one-track mind. Wait, you have a one-track mind? I had no idea. yeah, like shots like that, the Venom shock has been nails in these situations. That's one thing that's really impressed me is I can just get left in the wheel on it and it still just keeps cornering. So it's kind of a little similar. It's a slightly quicker pro motion, which I think you and I had talked about.
Or at least.
The usage windows feel my shock feels like a slightly quicker version of the pro motion, but the usage windows are similar. That was an oopsie. Yeah, like you can see even from there that the shock kind of does similar things to the recoil and the pro motion. The recoil is definitely the most forward of the three of those. Shock is more in the middle. Pro motion is the most blendy and round and continuous down lane. So, all right, so I'm gonna break out the Hustle Inc. now. Yes, shot, good idea, factual. I'm gonna pull out the Hustle Inc. now. I was actually talking with Luke about this earlier in the week. I think the shape is actually gonna be pretty close to the Synergy, just a little bit less ball overall, which is kind of interesting, but also kind of awesome. Explains why the Synergy is so good and why I like it so much, given that I've used it quite a bit over the past few years. So let's give this Hustle Inc. a try and see what happens. Yeah, that does really feel a lot like a baby idle Synergy. It's not quite as early, not quite as fast, and not quite as much down lane. But I'm still able to get it rolling through the pins pretty easily, even with it being obviously fairly smooth down lane. So chase a little further left, see what I got here. I think that was a head pin messenger into the 5, into the 10. The fact that the 5 pin was still on the deck means that ball isn't driving super hard, so kind of running out of ball, which doesn't shock me, or doesn't surprise me, I should say. Oh yeah. Alright. I've already pulled 6 games on this team. It's crumbling. Both are a little beat up.
A little. Just a wee bit.
Can't carry anything in this house.
Yeah.
Not good. You're talking about that one. Blah, blah. All right, let's throw one more good one with the ink. No, I'll talk for a second. All right, so flip back here, talk for a second, catch up on comments. See, they have Specto. Yes, they do. They got Specto on the high half of the building in here. Pretty awesome to have that tool available. Nice to see the ink is still good. Yeah, ink in an ink, man. Unballs continues to impress me. Okay, so what did I just test? I just tested the Alert with Surface on it, the Synergy both shiny and with some Surface, and then the ink following the Synergy. The Alert seemed like a very, very stable but cleaner option down from my Ghost. It's still pretty quick in the mids, but I'm able to just kind of float out of it with my hand and let it roll off the end of the pattern, which is a really cool trick to have available. So I think that one definitely has a spot in the tournament bag. I don't really have anything else like it right now. And then the Synergy. It honestly feels like that ball's in a little bit of a weird spot for me at this point. Like, it's one that I've used a lot and loved a lot, but at the same time, with the one I have, with the setup it has and the Surface it's got on it to kind of put it in a decent usage window, it's just a complete shape offset from the other stuff that I've got in my arsenal. So I've got a Ripcord Velocity on the way. I think it's getting delivered today or tomorrow. Probably gonna drill that with a little smoother layout. If that works, then I think that might kind of be my strongest shiny ball that makes it into the grab and go 6-ball set. If that doesn't, then I think I might be drilling another Synergy pin down, kind of similar setup to the one I had in my review video from back in, well, like February, March timeframe. More I throw my Synergy, more I love it, almost becoming stash worthy. Yeah, dude, it's a really good ball, and that's why I'm not sure how I feel about mine right now, because I know it's so good, but I also know that it kind of not 100% fitting exactly as I want it to within the rest of my bag. So what I'm gonna do now is my ink is 4.5 inches pin up, and my Fatal Venom is 4-inch pin down. So I'm gonna pull out the Fatal now, throw that a little bit, and just kind of see how that stacks up to the ink, because I haven't actually compared these two back to back yet, and I'm really, really curious to see what the results are here. In between middle bag balls, tough to slide in. Yeah, it's tough to slide in, but it's so good when it works, man. And it works on a lot of stuff, or a lot of different situations. Okay. Ball front. Okay. Zing hybrid, slow down.
Slow down.
Zing hybrid and throw it slower. Yep. You're throwing the ball through the puddle too much. Like
Throwing it what?
you're playing the puddle, which is the right idea. You're just not using enough ball to get through it. Yeah, so the fatal and the ink are pretty close, which is kind of what I expected to see, honestly. The fatal's definitely feels like it kind of picks up and starts getting into the roll phase a little bit sooner, but it does that without rolling out. So it's actually really, really good on top of dirt, which is kind of how I set up the fatal to be. I'm going to try moving a little further left with the fatal and see kind of how much latitude I've got for that versus the shock. Sorry, not versus the shock, versus the ink. Hey, all I'm saying is it takes skills to get the high spot. Okay. So, I think I've got a decent idea of that. Motive stuff been looking pretty good. Yeah, I've been really, really impressed with it so far, Josh. Hang on for a sec. Sorry, a little warm in here today. Two-handers called. They want their revs back. I've got a two-hander next to me to the left now, and he's got plenty of revs. Hey, do you need any of my rev rate? Are you good, Corey? Do you need any of my rev rate, or are you good?
I got like 5 cents.
Yeah, Corey said he's good, so I think I'll hang on to my revs. Thank you very much, Deja. Need to stock up on melee jabs before they decide to discontinue them. If you're talking about the blood red, then yes, I would, because Brunswick and a Brunswick. That was a nice one. Thank you, Josh. Is that touch? I don't understand what you're talking about, Joe. Not sure I'm following the question. So, Fatal versus Ink. Honestly, that's about what I expected to see. Is I can use them in the same parts of the lane. It's just the shape is a little bit different. Fatal rolls a little bit sooner and is a little more blendy. The Ink is a little bit steeper down lane and through the pins. Overall strength is very, very similar though. It does kind of confirm that the Fatal is going to be that ball for me on like friction, where I just need something to blend everything out but not quit on me. And I think it's pretty explanatory for why. It's just like I can throw it slow, roll it at friction, it doesn't overread, which is really, really awesome to see from deep, and it's still going through the pins from deeper angles. So yeah, that's. Hang on, let me grab my notebook real quick. Synergy versus alert, shock. That's done. Synergy versus Fatal versus Ink. That's done. It's 12:10. I've been going for an hour and 45 minutes or so. I'm going to throw a few more shots. I'm going to pull the recoil back out and mess with that some more, because that's one of the ones that I really need to work on understanding better. While I do that, if there are any comparisons between the stuff I've got here that you want to see, definitely let me know, and I will do my best to pull those out for you. So, going to throw it for a minute, and then I'll be back.
Take that, Corey. You're looking for a S&A.
I would have carried that.
You're looking for a SE. I have.
Okay. Not at the moment.
No, I'm saying I have mine cracked, but I got a new one. But
What?
blue coming up.
Oh, the jab.
No, the one Matt drew for me.
Are you talking about the Intel Pro SE or the Melee jabs?
melee jab?
That's why I said jab.
Yeah, jab. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I got the
Probably not at the
blue on
moment,
way.
honestly. Between the synergy I've got and I've got a velocity coming, I don't
I'm
see
just
it.
saying later down the line, just know I have one if you're looking for one. Appreciate you. Yes.
Oh, shoot. I forgot to flip that around. Y'all didn't see. Y'all found it just as I did. My bad. All right, let's put that back there. All right, there we go. Y'all good now? Nice shot left.
He's getting into dangerous territory.
It's looking early.
Yeah. You see him too?
Yep.
Yeah. This is short. Can't carry anything.
A few more with the Ghost. Okay, yeah, I'll pull that back out, try and play about the same part of the lane as I was with the recoil. I know I didn't throw the Ghost a ton in this stream. That's just because I already feel like I understand that one pretty dang well. So. Actually, in response to the question earlier about which ball is my favorite,
Thanks for
yeah, I think that one takes the cake. Honestly, like I knew it was good, but holy crap, that ball's good. I guess that'll do, right? That'll do. Not gonna 10 pin if you hit there. Ghost's gonna do ghost things. Such a good ball. Yeah, I'm really, really impressed with this one. I'm actually gonna pull the Affliction back out and see how that's doing from left. I feel like it's gonna be close to running out of ball at this point. But yeah, let's test that hypothesis, see what happens.
Go back there.
That's about what I expected. I just kind of got down there and was like, nope, I'm not hooking anymore.
Now, go ahead.
Yeah, that's not making it. That is not it. Alright, so so the Affliction is too slow, the Ghost is just right. I'm gonna try the ProMotion.
Hey, look, even in the match, we still on 25.
Huh?
Even in the match,
Yeah, that promotion's pretty good. PM is always right.
that's okay.
Not always, Steve. Not always. But yeah, that is pretty much. Hang on, sweat towel. That is pretty much all I had. Dang it, I didn't mean to hit that button. There we go. That is pretty much all I had to go through today. So I feel like this is a very productive test, just kind of seeing some piecewise comparisons between some different balls in my bag. Definitely looking forward to going back home and kind of reviewing this footage and making sure that what I'm seeing and what my ball is actually doing are the same thing. But yeah, hope you all have enjoyed. I'm going to throw a few more shots. If anybody has any last questions, go ahead and fire away with those. I've got some towel cotton on my face. There, I think I got it all. Yeah, seemed really productive and fun to watch. Glad to hear it, man. Yeah, if there's anything else y'all want to see in particular before I sign off, yeah, let me know. All right. Well, I think I'm gonna go ahead and call it a day. Might jump over and throw a little bit on the fresh lane, which is lane 10. Less angle, more shim, more womp at the bottom. Yeah, that's what I just did with that last shot with the Pro Motion. It actually looked a lot better. So just kind of adapting that mentality to making it boring, which is kind of what we've talked about in the past. So what's up, Matt? Unfortunately, you're catching me just as I'm about to sign off for the day. However, this stream will be up in a little bit for you to go back and rewatch the entire thing. I think it's been a really fun time. I've learned a lot. I've had fun, and I hope that y'all have enjoyed kind of being here for the journey with me. So, yeah, gonna go ahead and sign off. Hope y'all have enjoyed, and until next time, good luck and good bowling. Peace.